The first thing I noticed was the crack. It ran along the alien warrior's chest plate, starting near the left shoulder joint and spidering outward like frozen lightning. The alloy around it was scorched black, warped inward as if something very powerful had struck and almost killed her. The second thing I noticed was that she hadn't left. Most warriors did. The battlefield salvage bay aboard the human outpost Ardent Hope was not a place of honor. It was where damaged machines, broken weapons, and the occasional wounded ally were sent when proper facilities were overwhelmed. No banners. No priests. Just sparks, oil, and the quiet hum of emergency power. Yet she stood there, perfectly still, towering over my workbench, helmet on, spear magnet locked to her back. Waiting. "I can fix it," I said, wiping grease from my hands. "But you'll have to remove the armor." Her head tilted slightly, the segmented helm catching the light. The glowing glyphs along her visor pulsed once. "That will not be possible," she said. Her voice came through a translator. Low, controlled, metallic. "The armor does not leave my body." I glanced at the crack again. "Then it's going to fail. Next hit like that, the plate won't disperse the energy. It'll go straight through you." Silence. Around us, the bay echoed with distant artillery from the far side of the station. The war hadn't stopped just because we were fixing things. Finally she spoke. "Then repair it while it is worn." I raised an eyebrow. "You trust a human that much?" Another pause. "I have no other option," she said. That was how I ended up repairing alien battle armor while its owner was still inside it. Something no one in the Keeler Human Coalition had ever documented before. And it was how I learned that even the galaxy's deadliest warriors could cry. Beginning. The unlikely assignment. My name is Jonah Hale. Human. Engineer. Not a soldier. I was stationed on Ardent Hope because someone decided humans were uniquely good at fixing things that weren't supposed to work together. Alien tech. Hybrid systems. Jury-rigged miracles held together by math, stubbornness, and caffeine. The Keeler Dominion had provided warriors. Massive, disciplined, terrifying. Their shock troops, called the Vashtor, were living legends. Born into war, trained from childhood, encased in symbiotic armor that bonded to their nervous systems. They didn't retreat. They didn't surrender. They also didn't talk to humans unless absolutely necessary. So when one of them walked into my bay alone, damaged, and asked for repairs instead of reporting to her command cast, I knew something was wrong. "Name?" I asked, bringing up diagnostics. "Designation, Kael'thra," she replied. "Rank, Blade Captain." I whistled softly. That explains the mess. Her armor was unlike anything I'd seen up close. Layered adaptive plates, each grown rather than forged. The crack wasn't just structural, it was emotional for lack of a better word. The armor responded to her stress levels. And right now it was screaming. "Did you take a plasma lance hit?" I asked. "Yes." "And you're standing?" "Yes." I shook my head. "You aliens are ridiculous." She didn't respond. As I powered up my tools, I noticed something odd. The armor's internal feedback loops were unstable, not from damage alone but from overload. Like the system had been pushed far past what it was designed to handle. "Blade Captain," I said carefully, "how long have you been deployed without rest?" Another silence. Longer this time. "Define rest," she said. I sighed. "Figures. Middle. Cracks beneath the surface." Repairing the armor while she wore it was delicate work. The plates were bonded directly to her skin through a neural lattice. Any mistake could send pain feedback straight into her nervous system. "Tell me if it hurts," I said, adjusting the microwelder. "It will," she replied calmly. "Helpful." As I worked, I began to notice small things. The way she stood unnaturally rigid. The faint tremor in her hands when the tools sparked too close. The armor compensating for micro-movements she didn't consciously make. Fear responses. That didn't make sense. The Vashtor were bred for fearlessness. conditioned from birth to embrace death. They were the reason enemy lines broke. Kael'thara, I said, keeping my tone casual, can I ask you something personal? No. Fair enough, I said. I'll ask anyway. Why didn't you go to your command? She didn't answer. I sealed part of the crack, reinforcing the lattice with human nanofiber. The armor accepted it almost eagerly, adapting around the foreign material. Your armor's stressed, I continued. Not just from battle. From you. Whatever you're carrying, it's bleeding into the system. Her breathing hitched just slightly. That is irrelevant, she said. I glanced up at her visor. The glyphs flickered, then steadied. Look, I said gently, I'm not your superior. I'm just a guy with tools. But if something's wrong, pretending it isn't won't fix it. For a long moment, the only sound was the welder's hum. Then very quietly she said, I failed. I stopped working. Failed how? I was ordered to hold the western breach, she said. I held it. For 6 cycles. When reinforcements arrived, there were none of my unit left. I swallowed. That's not failure. That's... They died under my command, she snapped. The translator couldn't soften the edge in her voice. Their blood is my responsibility. I'd heard survivors talk like that before. Human soldiers. Same words. Different species. The Dominion teaches us that sorrow is weakness, she continued. That grief dishonors the fallen. I resumed working slower now. And what do you think? Her fists clenched. I think, she said, that when the last of them fell and I was still standing, I did not feel honor. The armor trembled. That's when I noticed it. A faint shimmer along the inner edge of her visor. Moisture. At first I thought it was a cooling issue. Condensation from temperature difference. Then I saw it drip. Kael'thara, I said softly, are you crying? Her entire body went rigid. That is impossible, she said immediately. Vashtor, do not. Another drop slid down the inside of the visor, catching the light. I'm not judging, I said quickly. Humans do it all the time. That is also considered a weakness, she said, her voice suddenly strained. I powered down the welder and set it aside. Hey, I said, stepping back so I wasn't crowding her. Listen to me. Crying doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're still here. She shook her head once. If my command cast discovers this. They won't, I said. This bay doesn't record audio. And I don't report emotions. She stood there, silent, shoulders trembling now, the armor struggling to compensate. I waited until I was alone, she whispered. I believed the mask would hide it. The galaxy's most feared warrior, alone in a human repair bay, finally let herself break. The human response. I didn't touch her. I didn't try to console her physically. I just sat on the edge of the workbench and waited. After a while her breathing slowed. I am defective, she said. No, I replied immediately. You're alive. She turned her helmet toward me. What is the difference? I thought about it. When humans go through what you did, I said, some of them shut down. Some of them rage. Some of them cry. None of that makes them defective. It makes them human. She considered that. I am not human. No, I agreed. But pain doesn't care what species you are. Silence stretched, heavy but no longer sharp. I have completed the repair, I said eventually. The armor's stronger now. Better than before. Because of your modifications? She asked. Because it adapted, I said. Just like you did. She straightened slightly. The tremor eased. What will you tell my command? She asked. That the armor took a hard hit and needed human reinforcement, I said. That the blade captain fought beyond design limits. That seemed acceptable to her. Before she turned to leave, she paused. Engineer Jonah, she said. Yeah. In my culture, she said carefully, to witness another's unmasked sorrow is considered a binding event. I blinked. Binding how? Her visor tilted just enough that I could almost imagine her eyes behind it. You are now considered pack, she said. I laughed softly. Guess I've been adopted by an alien warrior. She did something then that startled me. She inclined her head. A warrior's bow. I will return to battle, she said. But I will not forget this. Ending, after the armor was whole. Weeks later the war turned. Coalition forces pushed back the enemy offensive. The western breach held, this time with reinforcements arriving in time. I was in the salvage bay again when a familiar shadow fell across my workbench. Kael'thra stood there, armor scorched but intact. Reinforced plates bearing faint traces of human nanofiber. You're late, I said. She made a sound that the translator hesitated over before labeling it amusement. I required no repairs, she said. I came to inform you. Inform me of what? My unit has been reformed, she said. I have accepted command again. I smiled. I figured you would. She hesitated, then added, and I have adjusted my understanding of weakness. Oh. Yes, she said. I now believe it is the refusal to feel that breaks us. I leaned back. That's a very human conclusion. She nodded once. Then perhaps, she said, humans are not as fragile as we believed. As she turned to leave, she paused again. The armor still carries your work, she said. It reminds me that even cracks can be strengthened. I watched her go, spear on her back, steps steady. Later, when reports came in about a blade captain who held the line without losing another soldier, I wasn't surprised. Because sometimes the strongest repair isn't metal or energy. Sometimes it's being seen, unmasked by the right human at the right time.